Here come that teal and black, baby. Duval with the 88th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars select Khalid Ransom, DB Tulane. With the 89th pick in the 2005 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Wyatt Milam, guard, West Virginia.
When you see me go out there on the field, you're going to see someone that loves the game of football, someone that enjoys it. They're going to play through the whistle, they're going to give everything they got, and they're not going to let anyone touch Trevor Lawrence. And I'm going to make that promise to them, and I'm going to make that promise to Trevor.
With the 104th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Facial Tootin, running back, Virginia Tech.
Speed for Liam Cohen.
Hand off Tootin, breaks the tackle, he could go! Facial Tootin, 55-yard house call!
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Tom McManus, and Dylan Denmark.
Whatever it says about me that when I hear the term handoff tootin', it kind of makes me chuckle. Like, I don't know if that's the 8-year-old in me every time that I hear it, but it does. Every time we run that open, it kind of makes me chuckle. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you as we begin a late week after the Memorial Day festivities yesterday. So Tuesday to Friday this week, Mike Dempsey on assignment all week. He'll be back with us on Monday. So, Tom, you'll be joining me today, tomorrow, and Friday for the show, for your regular shift. I appreciate it, my friend.
Absolutely. Always great to be here, man. Good morning. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend as we did, and obviously remembering all of our fallen soldiers and what they did in their lifetime.
You know, I've gotten into a habit here recently of, on YouTube, I'll watch a lot of reaction channels, but specifically with movies. I like to watch the reaction channel, which shouldn't come as a surprise. It being me. But I like to watch people watch movies that I know they haven't seen. So they're seeing it for the first time, and it's something that I know already that I love. Right. So I want to watch someone else fall in love with something that I love. You know, like that kind of thing. Anybody who does a reaction to the Rocky movies, I'm in, like, as soon as I see it, I'm like, what else have they done? But it's I need to see all of their reaction to all the Rocky stuff, right? It gets me. Yeah. But for some reason here the last couple of weeks, I think Hacksaw Ridge got put on streaming in a couple of places here recently again. Yep. And so I've seen a bunch of channels that are reacting to that movie, and it's a very personal kind of movie to me because I did have, my grandfather served as a Marine in the Pacific. Okay. You know, I think if we had had a D-Day type moment trying to go into Japan, the odds are very high that my grandfather would have been on the ground. Okay. Right? In that kind of land invasion, if that's the direction that war had to go, and you watch what happened on the ground. And that Pacific conflict was madness. Yeah, total. Right? Like what the men on the ground had to go through on both sides, really. But really, it was absolutely insane. And I have a habit as well. Every Memorial Day since I saw Band of Brothers. Yeah. I've watched the documentary, We Stand Alone Together. They have a documentary about the Men of Easy Company. Yeah. That HBO put out. And if you haven't seen it, you should, right? But I make it a habit on Memorial Day. I watch it. Cool. Because you're watching all these guys who served. Yeah. And Easy Company did what they did. Yep. And you kind of, talking about the Memorial Day aspect of things, Tommy, you get these men who served and they're asked, when they get back home, they have family that's asking them. It's like, one of them specifically is being asked by his grandson, were you a hero in the war? And he said, no. Grandfather wasn't a hero. But he served in a company of heroes. Yeah. Right? And you hear those guys talk about the real heroes are the ones that didn't get to go home. Yeah, no doubt. Like that kind of thing. And Memorial Day, that's what it's about, is to remember the ones that unfortunately didn't get to come back home. Yeah. Well, look, you know how I feel about it. It's the ultimate sacrifice to lay down your own life for others. No doubt. And so many men and women have done it, and so many, unfortunately, will do it. That's why the military is really high in my regard, man. There's no one more. They're the most selfless people in the world. You know what I mean? To put their own life on the line for ours, and obviously, the history of my dad and
and family and whatnot. But, yeah, man, hey, it's good to recognize them. It's good to enjoy our freedoms. You know, we had a lot of barbecues last night, you know, that
Absolutely.
kind of stuff, beach time, pool time, whatever. It's good. That's good, man. That's why we live in America and why it's an awesome country. So.
And it's a good day to remember we get to have the barbecue because they wanted us to have the barbecue.
No doubt.
You know, they fought for us to still have the right to do that kind of thing and enjoy a day like we did, a day off, a vacation, a memorial, right? But take a moment or two and remember why we're having that memorial. That's important.
I don't think I watched any sports yesterday, though. I got to admit, I don't think it was high on my list. I watched a little bit of the hockey last night before I fell asleep. But I saw who won that game. You know, Carolina scored first and then forget about it. Lights were out.
Yeah,
I couldn't stay awake. It was 3 days in a row.
I watched
for the McManus
weird
family.
sports yesterday. I watched the tournament when they put together the field for the baseball tournament.
Okay, yep.
I knew Vandy was going to be high. They wind up being the number 1 overall seed in the country. That's cool.
Okay.
You know, they won the SEC, so I'm not surprised that they wind up in that
I'm
spot.
going out to the OTAs today, man, so I'm looking forward to it. Heck yeah, I RSVP'd, and Emily was so kind to get back to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing our Jay. First time looking at him, you know, under the new group and the new players, and I'm looking forward to seeing it all. Seeing how it's all run, feeling the energy, just getting back out there. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good.
And it kind of brings us into, in a way, to our question of the day today, our Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. It's Tuesday, so we're doing our top 5, Tommy.
Yep.
And the question that we put out this week, what are the top 5 questions or concerns that you had going into the offseason that you feel the franchise has best addressed?
Ooh, good one.
And we'll go through those as we go through the show today. Dylan, good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've been out for a week, right? So I wasn't here for the OTAs last week, so I didn't get to be a part of any of the freaking out that may have been going on because of 2 passes that people saw online.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. No, right.
Lawrence, that kind of thing. But did I miss anything? Because when I'm on vacation, like I'm out. Like I close down the loop. So did I miss anything, Dylan?
NFL owners, were you here for the tush push and all
I saw
stuff?
that went down.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was about it. That was the big thing that happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, out of the tush push proceedings, I found our other two-way player in the National Football League.
Oh?
Yeah, Desmond Watson is going to play both ways on the tush push. I mean, who's going to be able to stop that guy pushing his quarterback in the back? 6'6", 450 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm keeping him on my team just to eat some space. I tell you, it's going to open up. Hey, if you want to stop that play, you better have enough beef. Or just let them score. I don't know. Let them just win. I don't know what you're going to do there, but you put out just 300-pounders, they're going to get hurt. They're going to get mowed over.
Well, it's like every other football play, right, Tommy? It's about leverage. And the offense is going to be at an advantage on virtually every play anyway because they know when the ball is being snapped.
Yep.
So especially on short yardage situations, they have an inherent advantage, right? So as a defensive player, how do you knock out that advantage besides anticipating? And I don't understand the impetus for the NFL to have to put in a rule to try to stop a play just because it's effective. Right? Like, that's a weird kind of place for me. I know you're more of a defender.
I know. I am biased because I'm on defense. You know, I just, look, I have no problem with it, really. The only thing I've had a problem with for a while is when you make a tackle at any part of the field, I'm not just talking at the line of scrimmage, and it's a stalemate, and then a lineman comes up from behind and pushes the guy forward, they give him the extra yards.
Becomes a rugby scrum.
And you're like, come on, man. What is that? That's, you know, I can't get my D lineman to run all the way behind me to like push me back so we could have a real scrum. So I've never understood that part of it, but whatever, you know, listen, the offense the league is they've been helping the offense score more and more over the decades.
That way, yeah.
Pretty much every rule change is so the offense can score. I get it. It's a big part of the game. People like high scoring, fantasy football, all of that stuff. It goes into it. But here's another ruling that just says, hey, you know, I don't know. It doesn't come down to the one play. Our guy stopped it twice, so there's got to be a way. But
yeah,
I tell you what, I would consider bigger guys for that. I mean, look, we have specialists all across the board. I was talking about it on my podcast earlier. I read 71% fourth and one conversion rate last year across the board in National Football League. 70% of the time you're converting.
Makes sense.
So you need
Yeah.
Or you just let it happen, I guess. I don't know. Let them get the first down. You know what I mean? You put some beef up there and see if you can stop.
The solution to that is don't let it get the 4th and 1. Right?
Very true.
If it makes sense that the numbers would be what they are. That on 4th and 1, NFL teams are going to convert that 70% of the time. Right? Like the only surprise there would be maybe that it's not a little bit higher. What happened on that other 30% of the plays, given the way that the game, again, has been conditioned to go. Yep. It makes sense that those numbers would be those numbers, so it becomes, well, we can't let it get to 4th and 1.
Yep.
And you especially can't let it get to 4th and 1 against what Philadelphia is as a steam engine in those kind of moments right now. Like, you can't just change the rules because they have an advantage on that play. Why can't they have an advantage on that play?
Yeah.
They've earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
again, I don't think I'd voted against it, but whatever. It's for offensive players. We know why they play offense, so they do.
And I don't want to
see. They get to score points, so that's good. They get to go home and
I don't especially want to see Trevor Lawrence running that play that way. Right. It's different when it's Jalen Hurts doing it. He's built for that more. Yeah. So if you have a quarterback that's like Josh Allen, he's built for that.
Yeah.
You have a quarterback that's built that way. There should be an advantage to having, that kind of guy. And other teams have to do it different ways. Like we saw it with Philadelphia. They would put Goddard in there.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And he'd be the one taking the snaps on the short yardage like that sometimes, despite the fact that they have the most prolific running quarterback of all time.
Right.
They put somebody else in specifically on that play because they don't want to see their prolific runner get hit.
Listen, Trevor's a weapon on 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1. He was doing it really well for a while.
Yes,
he had a stretch of feeling that QB sneak.
To a point where he was the only effective play they had.
Yeah, I know.
On short yardage was the QB sneak. Hopefully that kind of thing will be changing. We'll see how much of that, I've seen it from a couple of listeners already, is in their top 5.
Okay.
Like the 3rd and short specifically being in there somewhere. We'll get into ours. We'll start with number 5 as we really get rolling here on the program this morning. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you. Mike Dempsey on assignment. Top 5 gets rolling next right here on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. Sometimes life is a game of inches.
Tell me they got that in slow motion.
1010 XL, your sports yardstick.
Out here, you'll find a community of hardworking creators with loyal followers, along with proud moments worth sharing. And farm to table, well, that's just supper. And whether it's a raised garden bed, acres of land, or something for your animals, we've got all the supplies and are happy to share a little know-how.
Welcome to Tractor Supply. Into life out here.
Get this. Joey and me were supposed to go to this concert next week, right? But then something terrible happened. Joey was driving without a seatbelt. But he didn't wreck. No, he got pulled over. Now Joey has to pay for a seatbelt ticket instead of a concert ticket, and I have to go by myself. How lame is that? So Joey, if you're out there, you're an idiot. Wear your seatbelt or you'll get a ticket.
All across the country, cops are cracking down. Click it or ticket, day and night.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Listen all day as 1010XL gives you news, notes, and analysis of organized team activities as they get ready for the upcoming season. Our coverage of OTAs is hoisted by Heroes Lawn Care and Hurricane Grill and Wings.
The best golfing weather is upon us, and Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to enjoy your next round of golf with us. Our welcoming atmosphere and love for golf keep our friends coming back. Check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com. You'll be glad you did.
And welcome back to another episode of Potty Talk with our current champion. So what's your secret to your perfect plumbing proficiency?
It's simple, really. Roland Reach Plumbing is always the right answer.
Roland Reach Plumbing, 260-7059.
I'm Max Fink, and I'm your Gator Updater. Listen for the Gator Report several times a week on 1010XL.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Want
Want your son or daughter to enjoy sports year-round? Then log on to i9sports.com with summer and fall registration open right now, including girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows, plus plenty of other spots and sports on the First Coast. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 for a discount.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes here with a challenge. A challenge might not be the best choice in words, so let's say an opportunity. Take the opportunity to lose 40 by the 4th with a Awaken 180. It sounds a little different when you put a real goal to it, doesn't it? Maybe you looked at the scale this morning and it read 230 pounds. How about it reading 190 by the 4th? Maybe the scale says 300. Wouldn't the number 260 be a little nicer on your eyes and on your joints? It's attainable if you have the same results we all had with Awaken 180. I dropped 40 pounds in 9 weeks. Hacker dropped his first 40 in just 6 weeks. Dempsey, Blue, and everyone else I know, same results. And we've kept it off. The best thing about Awaken 180 weight loss, it will completely change the way you think, see, and feel about food. The results are real, attainable, and the process simple with Awaken 180. Take the opportunity and drop 40 by the 4th. It all starts with just one call to Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey, don't buy a diamond at one of those big box corporate jewelers in the town center until you see what Beard's Diamonds can offer. Hicken here. Beard's Diamonds will give you a better price on a better quality diamond. Beards, they're not beholden to Wall Street. They are beholden to the people of Jacksonville. Why? Because they're the only locally owned jeweler in the town center. Yes, Beards has the best diamond selection in the region. No middleman prices on hand-picked diamonds, all shapes, all sizes. They also have the top bridal designers like Tacori and Veragio. And here's something else. Unlike the others, Beards doesn't have commissioned salespeople. Their experts get paid whether you buy something or not. So no pressure, ever. Their associates are diamond experts. They'll teach you how to buy a diamond the smart way. We're really lucky to have Beards here as a refreshing alternative. You get it all. No compromises, highest quality, personal service, no middleman pricing, and unbeatable guarantees. Beards Diamonds, the only locally owned jeweler. They're at the St. John's Town Center.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning, and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women. With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us, and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
You need cooling. Baby, I'm not. It's hard to speak over Zep.
Yeah.
When they get rolling like that. Yeah. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you. I'm surprised Tony Pauline hadn't specifically requested this one.
Nah.
At some point. Oh, he's a big Zep guy. Yeah.
I heard a cool Dancing Days by Scott Weiland from STP on Howard Stern. You ever see those clips that come through? Howard Stern always got like bands on and they'll play like the acoustic. Pretty badass.
Yeah, I saw like I've seen Metallica on there a few times doing different things.
Oh yeah.
You know,
they've been on for sure.
Whatever they were getting into. We have our Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today. It is our Tuesday Top 5. What are the top 5 questions or concerns that you had going into the offseason that the franchise has best addressed? And I guess we can get into that countdown now. We started number 5.
Number 5.
Tommy, I'll let you lead us off.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, what do you have at number 5 on your list?
Well, number 5, it's number 5 because I don't know yet.
Okay.
But I'm going to say the new energy. You know, the youth and the energy. And I know everyone wanted something different, and we've got it, and I'm excited for it. I just, you got to win. You got to win with it. So right now it's great. It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing it in person a little bit later on today. But I think what they needed to address was that new attitude. I've been complaining about the attitude for 2 years, and this is going to be a new attitude, and I got to go by what they're saying. And they went after players and kept players who do what? They love the game of football. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, number 5 for me, Tommy, is very similar. Where's the desperately needed energy in the franchise going to come from? So many things point to how this was answered, and I will have things related to this kind of later on the list, at least for me. But you have to start somewhere, and it does feel like they've breathed life back into the fan base. Adding Tony Baselli specifically, I think is a big part of that, getting him in the building. I think there are plenty of former players or people around the franchise who the fans still love, right? Like Fred Taylor, Jimmy Smith. There are plenty of guys who they have that kind of love for, but only one of them was the first draft pick by the team. Only one of them is in the Hall of Fame, and only one of them has put in the work that Tony Baselli has put in over the course of the last 30 years when there have been really low moments in the franchise's history. It's been Tony Baselli that's tried to rally the fan base, right? Like he's been that, and he hasn't been officially in a capacity with the team while he's been. That's just been his love for the city and the franchise bleeding through. You know, we had the opportunity to talk to Tony a couple of weeks ago here on the show, and it was cool to hear from him in this new kind of role. We've all heard from Tony plenty.
He's come a long way.
Right, but there is something about it being Tony Baselli that's in that spot. You know, it was really important when the franchise started that it was Tom who got it. Right? Like with all the good decisions that Wayne Weaver made, all the important things he did, including standing up for Jacksonville, saying, you want me, you take Jacksonville. Right? And it's why the franchise is here. Beyond that, maybe the next most important thing he did was hiring Tom. Right? Like a guy who, how could you possibly know he was qualified for that job when you gave it to him?
Right.
We're going to hand him an infant franchise, and he's going to be the one making all the decisions with it. And the wild success that they had early on, that's them having made the right decision. Now, obviously, Big Bo was here, you know, and he was a part of that. TC they brought back. It worked out the way it did that second time around. We can all get into the nitty-gritty of exactly what happened.
The AFC Championship game. So
right.
Give him that.
That whole situation, but Tom's not going to be here and doing that kind of thing anymore. Baselli still can be. And the energy he brings into the fan base and the franchise, Tommy, I'm with you. I think it's a really, really important step for the franchise. Dylan, what do you have at 5?
I'm going to talk about the secondary and limiting big plays. They got a couple guys in the draft. You got Jordan Lewis. Where you put Travis Hunter, how you fill him in on the defensive side. You know, we talked about all season. I feel like it's all been all about the offense, and deservedly so, about Liam Cohen, Trevor, the playmakers. But this defense wasn't that good either a year ago, giving up about 6 yards per play, which was good for 31st in the league a year ago. I wonder, and I think it will be because it can't be any worse than a year ago, can they limit plays, at least the big ones? How many times a year ago did a play go for 50, 60, 70 yards, and no one is within a 20-yard radius of the person catching the ball?
Yeah, and I know, Tommy, we had the opportunity to react to those things as they were happening. You know, last year. And I wish I could have had a front row seat to watching you, you know, specifically reacting to some of those moments when something happens on a play and you watch 4 defenders as basically the play's still ending, holding their hands up in the air like, who's doing what? Right? Like, I can't for the life of me understand how that can happen. If it happens once during an NFL season or a couple times, it's like, all right, they got us. right, on that kind of thing. For the Jaguars, it felt like, when is that play going to happen this week?
Yep.
Is where I felt like we got to with that secondary specifically.
Well, the passing, and that's number 4 for me. We're not doing it yet, but it's the passing game defense as a whole. You know, it's the rush, having consistent rush. It's having the coverage, not being out of coverage, not biting on the underneath routes like we seem to do all the time from the safety position and linebacker position. So have they done enough to address it? Look, it looks like it on paper. You know, Jordan Lewis, of course. You can see Travis Hunter out there. Yeah. You hear what Liam's saying about Tyson Campbell, how off man seems to be his strength right now. But that's going to be challenged. But again, Tony, goes back to that attitude. It goes back to not being out of position, knowing the coverage, knowing when they go 4 strong, what it does to your count. You know, that screwed them up. The backers up last year a bunch of times. Yeah. The biggest problem I had, especially after watching my family does not like Monday mornings in my house because they hear me and I'm just sitting there going, what the, how can you continue to make these mistakes? It just doesn't make sense. And week 1, week 13, week 5, week 17, it didn't matter. It was like the same stuff over and over. So the new energy, the new attitude, the new accountability, and having those kind of players that match. Remember, the GM's got to fill it. What do they want? Guys that love playing football. Well, GM, go get me guys that love playing football. Well, here's the match. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and look, we're all going to have the secondary somewhere on our 5s, right? Like, they're going to be somewhere on this list. And it is, with the 30 years of Jaguars football we've been watching, and we've seen some really, really bad football teams here in Jaguars. Like, there have been some low decades, right, in Jaguars history. I can't ever remember watching a pass defense that was nearly as bad as what they put on the field last year. And that they didn't have anybody that was, when the things would go wrong, get it right. Like, where's the voice that's saying this? That's nonsense.
Right.
And if you can't get it right for us, then we're going to find out if that guy can get it right for us. I don't care if you are getting the money, whatever. That does not count.
Right.
When you can't make the play, the basic play that we need to be made.
Right.
And communicate these things on the field. You've been doing this since you were in high school. Yeah. Talking to one another on the field.
Right.
This is a much higher level where if you're a little bit off, you're going to get embarrassed. Like, in ways that you wouldn't get in high school and college. Your athleticism may have been able to make up for it. But in the NFL, a half step off is a mile.
It's a completion.
Right. Like,
and
it's
maybe
just
a touchdown.
It's the big difference. And they weren't half steps away.
Right.
They were yards away.
Right.
From being in the right position.
And it was over and over again. What game was it where, remember Devin Lloyd, they ran the tight end down the seam. He was in coverage. They scored a touchdown on him. And everyone's like, oh, he's not. Well, guess what? The safety's supposed to be making the play on the ball. His job is to be underneath that route. And when that ball goes in the air, that safety's coming over to make a play on the ball or the play. It
might have been Chicago and London.
No, it wasn't. I think it was at home. I want to say it was a home game.
About the Jets game? Well, he was
Jets
covering
game.
Devontae
I think
Adams.
it was the Jets game. Okay. Yeah, it was Devontae Adams. Down, it wasn't a tight end.
Yeah.
But he became number 3, and he went down the middle, and it was cover 2, and the Mike backers got to take him all the way vertical. But you do that with help over the top. Right. So, anyway, too many times they were out of position. New attitude, change in attitude will be a change in latitude, and that'll be a good thing.
We'll see exactly what kind of dividends that might pay. We'll get into our number 4s. I think Tommy just gave us his, but we'll continue to talk about all of our number 4s on the list. I also saw the dead cap number seems to be rearing its head again this weekend. I saw it in a couple of different places. We can get into that a little bit as we go through it today on the show. I don't think the dead cap number is all that big a deal. I think it says something, but I'm not sure exactly what. We can dig into that as we continue along. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you. It's Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacksonville Beach. You don't want to wait until the rainy season is here. That's no joke. If your roof's got damage, if it's got leaks, if it's just plain worn out, do not wait. Apex is local. They're dependable. They're going to show up on time with the best materials and ironclad warranties. Don't trust those fly-by-night roofers. Apex, reach for the peak. Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach. Visit apexroofingfl.com.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. You know Dan Hicken.
I got special talents. I'll show you. Look out.
And you know Jeff Prosser.
I've had it. I can't listen to one more self-righteous chestnut out of your mouth.
Mornings on the Drill.
So beggars can't be choosers.
On 1010XL.
Just when you thought we couldn't bring you more, Keon Atlantic is here with a brand new store. We have the same great team to treat you well. With new savings during our grand opening sale. Keon Atlantic is here with the new store. Shop our best offers and largest selection yet. Save big during our grand opening sale. Is there something for everyone on our lot? You bet. If you're ready to experience something new, the all-new Keon Atlantic is ready for you. Your perfect ride is a visit away. Online at KeonAtlantic.com. Keon Atlantic, your coastal Kia connection.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's superior craftsmanship and timeless design. Right now, buy 2 windows or patio doors and get the third at 60% off. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires May 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Plumbing problems? AC not blowing? Septic tank doing whatever septic tanks do? Don't call 3 different companies and play contractor roulette. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. Waddle over to duckduckrooter.com. When you're stuck, call the duck.
No matter what the reason, sending a floral arrangement from Kuhn Flowers always works. For unique and special gifts, visit their showroom on Beach Boulevard. ET here with 1010XL. Kuhn Flowers is my go-to, and it should be yours too. Online at kuhnflowers.com.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coating, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
It's about the hunt.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman. We take you from the water to the woods.
On the Nimnicht Outdoors Show. Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Hicken here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between a patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com.
Keep your ball out of the rough with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Get great golf tips from the experts every Saturday morning at 10. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour on 1010XL.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Prosser here. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. That's Loan Pronto. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is an A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Call now and start the conversation. Go to loanpronto.com or call 999-1508. That's loanpronto.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
Frank Frangie here. I was talking to a buddy the other day. His HOA told him his old fence had to go. I said, man, call Coil Fencing. They've been around the block since 1927. Heck, they probably built half the fences in Jacksonville. They do it all. Tough chain link for security. Those fancy aluminum ones the HOA actually likes. Nearly a century of keeping yards safe and looking good. If you need a fence, call Coil. You can trust the folks at Coil. 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com, COYLE, jacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Continuing along here on a Tuesday edition of Jaguars Today. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you. We'll get to the number 4s on our top 5s here in just a moment. But first, let's get out to the phone lines for the first time today at 641-1010. Steve dialing us up. What's going on this morning, Steve?
Hey, good morning, Tom. How you doing?
Doing good.
Tony?
What's up?
I have a defensive question for Tom. And now I'm going by, bits and pieces you hear from, Frank and them give their opinions on what they're seeing out there. I heard what Coach Campo said on Joe and Camp's podcast, and I just wanted to get Tom's thoughts on maybe some things the defense might do. They're mentioning Devin Lloyd trimmed down a lot from all the weight he did gain. Josh Allen trimmed down a little bit. Frank said Trayvon's kind of hard to distill because he's already a large human being.
Mm-hmm.
And then Coach Camp mentioned Campanelli was running a lot of quarters or whatever, and I don't usually remember Jags running a lot of quarters before on defense, so I just wanted to get Tom's thoughts on maybe a direction if we go that way with Campanelli. I believe Flores does something similar over at Minnesota, running a quarters defense to get creative with the blitzing. And I just wanted his thoughts with what we have right now on paper, his thoughts or opinions on something like that.
All right, appreciate the call.
Great. Yeah, no, quarters is a great pass coverage for sure. And you can get creative with it, in the blitz packages. Coach Campbell brought that into the league way back when. He is an aficionado on the cover 4, the quarters type concept. Look, at the end of the day, there's still going to be holes in that zone. They all have them. And when you play zone, you got to have a rush. And I could see those guys losing weight because I'm sure the message is, hey, we need you quicker. We need you faster.
Yeah.
Josh Allen came in big. I mean, he was big. You're like, whoa, he got real big compared to the year before. Cisco is kind of the same thing. But yeah, I'm hearing quarters. I'm hearing off man, which is interesting. So not a lot of press. Quarters, you could play a little press in quarters, right? Get your guys up on the line of scrimmage. You can play off as well. And they just split it up in fours, right? It's, cover 2, there's halves. Cover 3, there's thirds. Cover 4, there's quarters. So hopefully that makes sense to people out there. But again, if you don't have the rush, I don't care what coverage we're playing, you're going to get smoked because it's hard to cover guys in a zone when that quarterback can sit there and just wait for him to find that hole and get open.
We've had several months ago now, we did top 5s in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
Tommy, where we were talking about building blocks. This was well before the draft.
Yeah.
And 1 week we did offense and 1 week we did defense. And, talking about defense and coverage right now, it's when we were talking about building blocks on defense, you had the 2. Mm-hmm. Right, you had Josh Hines-Allen and you had Trayvon Walker, and then it was pick your poison,
right?
Kind of thing with who the building blocks are going to be. So when you look at the options that they have, with the men that they will have in coverage right now. Tyson Campbell is the guy that they've already chosen to pay. They draft Travis Hunter, so we'll see exactly what his role is going to be. On defense, how much they want him to be out there. And then your options are Jordan Lewis and Jarian Jones. Essentially a corner. At safety, it would be Eric Murray and I guess Caleb Bransaw would be the first guy who's going to get the reps at free safety right now, at least the way they're talking about, although that seems to be a bit of an open question. But specifically with Tyson Campbell, with what you see in his game, what do you think would be best suited to him as a corner?
I think he can play press pretty well. And you got to remember, there's not a lot of plays that you've seen out of Tyson Campbell where he gets absolutely burnt in coverage. He's been burnt, don't get me wrong, but it's very rare that he's not pretty close to the target. And he's been that way, when healthy. So I want all my guys to play press because you're dictating what that wide receiver can do. You're trying to anyway. But again, if you don't hit the quarterback and get him off his timing, the coverage ain't going to matter. These guys on offense are just too athletic. And when you play off-ball coverage, it's really hard. Try guarding somebody in the open court in basketball. It's very hard to do when you got no help on either side. Now, when you're on the outside, you got the sideline.
Right.
You can use that. But that off coverage, man, that's no joke. So you got to just think, you got to react in pretty much equal time. You can't be a second off. You can't be a split second off. And if you are, you better make up for it with some speed. But again, if that ball comes out on time, the receiver's going to beat you 8-9 times out of 10.
Yeah. And I think
they have the advantage.
It speaks to, I've seen a lot of people when they've turned in their 5 today, their 5 questions. I've seen people that have mentioned the interior defensive line, and it's certainly a question I had going into the offseason, but it's basically been unaddressed by the team. They basically said we're going to move Eric Armstead back inside is the way that they've chosen to address that. They obviously are willing to depend on the growth of Mason Smith as a player that was a second-round pick, so they feel about these guys however they feel. But it's the same pieces are going to be in the building, essentially, that they had last year, and we're talking about they weren't able to get a pass rush last year. I think that's not the talent of the two guys on the end.
No.
Those guys are both talented. No. Trayvon Walker's got double-digit sacks in the last 2 years. Josh Hines-Allen had 17 and a half 2 seasons ago, and he was still a good player last year. Wasn't at the level we expect him to be. Right? Like, we all know there is a bar that has been set for Josh, for sure. And so he has to reach that year upon year. Right now, I think he's capable of doing that kind of thing, but having no help from the interior really puts the handcuffs on those guys because you're not worried about that interior push. Is Armstead going to the middle and counting on growth from Mason Smith enough for you to feel comfortable that the two edge guys they have will be hitting the quarterback like they did 2 years ago?
It's funny you say that because Armstead moving to 3 techniques, one of my ones they address, because I think it's absolutely desperately needed.
No doubt there.
Because he's a better pass rusher from inside. He's a pretty good run defender as an end, for the record. I'm watching the film last year. He was stout against the run. Nobody was getting outside him or pushing him around or anything like that. But
he's a big enough guy to play inside, so he ought to be pretty good.
It just took too long for him to get to the QB when he rushed the passer. So when he's inside, he's really good. And he's good against the run as well. The nose tackle has not been addressed. Now, granted, a lot of times you're a nickel, so there's really not a nose. You just got 4 D linemen, right? Now, you can shade them if you want, that calls for whatever front calls for it, but we don't have a 1 technique per se. Mason Smith, to me, is a great 3 technique or a 5 technique and a 3-4. Jefferson, he's more of a 3 technique. Armstead's a 3 tech. I mean, you got a bunch of 3 techniques. I don't even think Devon Hamilton's built for the 1 technique, the nose tackle position. So that's a concern of mine. That they, did they address that enough? I think what they're saying, look, we like what Mason Smith showed in the end of the year, which I agree with. My problem with Mason is when he gets tired, like anybody else, you stand up. And when you stand up as a nose tackle, you get pushed around because you're not going to win that leverage battle. It's 2-on-1, and you're not big enough.
Yeah, the whole point of you being there is you don't get moved.
You don't get moved. I was just talking about Desmond Watson. That guy's got a job. Like, you're not going to move him. By the way, he had a 25-inch vertical at 450 pounds. Tony. That is unbelievable. But my point, look, that is a concern. But moving Eric in for the passing, absolutely, it'll do tremendous things for Josh and Trevon moving forward, I think, in my opinion. I think if Mason's there too, and Mason learns a little bit of technique from that 3 technique, I think he could be as a good a presence eventually as Eric's been. Eric's a really good 3 technique, man. When he was with San Fran, he was one of the better 3 techniques in the game. Up there with, maybe not the exact tier of a Chris Jones, but not too far off him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it speaks to kind of around what we both had at number 5 on our list. Where was the direction in the building? Right, that they would bring in a guy like Eric Armstead and they're going to let him play end or tell him to play end. We still don't have real clarity on that kind of thing. You have Jarian Jones. We have a video of him saying, I was asking to play outside. And they said, no, we're going to keep it. It's like those kind of things were happening last year on top of the 2 or 3 times a game where everyone hands are up on defense. What are you guys doing? Right. And it's the players on the field that are putting their hands up. Like, why are you there? That kind of thing. And there's nothing that's happening to correct those kinds of things. The lack of real direction from inside the coaching staff last year, like it showed up on the field over and over and over again. And it speaks to, again, as we continue to go through the 5 and we go to different items and places on this list, it speaks to basically what I have at number 1. But I'll get to that when I get to that. We'll continue our countdown as when we return, get to number 4 on all 3 of our lists as we go through our top 5 today, where we are asking you the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. What are the top 5 questions or concerns that you had going into the offseason that the franchise has best addressed? We'll continue to count that down as we roll along. It is Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Share your life with 1010XL. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Oh, wait. I'm going to take a picture and post it on Facebook. What? Hashtag
1010XL.
Hey folks, Frank Frangie here reminding you the 4th annual Dailies Walk-Off Charities Golf Classic is right around the corner. We sure appreciate our friends at Dailies, always making it possible, and appreciate so many of you who have played over the years. This year, we're back at Deer Creek Country Club Monday, June 9th at 9 a.m. with tons of prizes, auction items, and an awful lot of fun. You'll even meet some of our young walk-off players. Just go to walkoffcharities.com for more information. Can't wait to see you on June 9th at the Dailies Walk-Off Charities Golf Classic.
Hacker here with an opportunity. Drop 40 pounds by the 4th. You can do it. I dropped my first 40 in 6 weeks. Hayes did it, Dempsey, Ballou, and thousands of others have done it. 40 by the 4th with Awaken180weightloss.com.
Pizza the T here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes through in the clutch? From lunch to late night, only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Stick around after the sunset, and Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites. Come on, somebody.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 3:20 for the latest in sports injuries. From all the big names in the game, who's MIA, who's coming back from injury. Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 3:20.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
I mean, to save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, and end up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could visit.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com. Powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Spring has sprung, and so have the bugs. It's Hayes Carline and my friends at Kingfish Pest Control offer an exclusive $99 spring special. That's right, your initial pest control service is just $99. And if you call today, they'll include a free one-time mosquito treatment. Kingfish Pest Control is family-owned, 5-star rated with no binding contracts and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Call them now to book your service. Only at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always brag on what you guys have on-road and off-road. But Greg, tell everybody about what's happening on the water, because you got loads of opportunity.
We do. We've got lots of boats in stock. We got the Honda 19-foot Fisher Runabout. We've got the Coach pontoons, all of them with that legendary Honda motor and legendary Honda reliability, which you always want when you're out on the water.
You could be cruising along the Intercoastal or out on the ocean, but check it out. Facebook page ready for all of you to see. Cycles of Jacksonville or their showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
Say goodbye to glasses and contacts with customized vision treatments at Bowden Eye & Associates. Hey, Hicken here. Dr. Bowden and his expert team bring you all the latest options like Evo implantable Caliber lenses, refractive lens exchange, or traditional LASIK. Tailored just for you. Imagine waking up to clear vision. No hassle, no fuss. You ready to see the difference? Call now or visit BowdenEye.com for a free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com. Jacksonville, Kia on Atlantic is open for business and the place to be this Friday. Taylor Dahl here from Helmets and Heels. Come see us broadcast from noon to 2 on Friday. Talking cars and incredible prizes. The first person to arrive in your own Kia during the live show wins a free set of tires. You could score club seats to a Jaguars game with a parking pass or tickets to see live in Collective Soul at Daly's Place. And they're giving away 2 free oil changes and 2 alignments. Off Atlantic near Kernan, noon to 2 at the new Kia on Atlantic.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. The Florida State baseball team has been named the number 9 national seed in the 2025 NCAA Baseball Championship and will host the Tallahassee Regional. Joining the top-seeded Seminoles at the Dick Howser Stadium will be 2nd-seeded Northeastern, 3-seeded Mississippi State, and 4th-seeded Bethune-Cookman. Seminoles head coach Link Jarrett spoke on his excitement to host the regional.
It's exciting to be in this position. I'm proud of our players, our coaching staff. You feel an obligation in this role to have these events at home, and it's not easy to do, and there's 1 of 2 ways you're going to do it. You're going to win your conference tournament, you're in. You can come out of the gates and perform well from day one and get into the ACC and have a competitive ACC season and hope you've done enough to put yourself in this position, and clearly I feel like our guys earned this.
It's 84 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
We'll get back into the top 5 here in just a couple of moments. Get numbers 4 and 3, maybe in this segment when we get into it. But before we get to that, let's take a look at around the rest of the National Football League.
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
This is where we're at. The Las Vegas Raiders and punter A.J. Cole have agreed to a 4-year, $15.8 million extension with $11 million in guaranteed money. The deal will make Cole the highest-paid punter in the NFL. Detroit has signed veteran linebacker Zach Cunningham, a second-round pick by Houston many years ago. 20 teams across the league start their OTAs today. The NFL has said they're going to keep their hands off the current playoff process as far as seeding, at least for now. We'll see where that goes in the future. And with yesterday being Memorial Day, Tommy, I think it's worth mentioning that the NFL has had 26 men that were part of the NFL as a player, executive, or a coach that have lost their lives in service to the country.
Wow.
23 in World War II, 2 in Vietnam, and Pat Tillman in Afghanistan.
Wow.
So remember them as well.
Yep.
The 26 that have laid down their lives.
No kidding.
That have been attached directly to the National Football League. With that, let's get to number 4 on our list here, Dylan.
Number 4.
I'll kick us off. What will they do to improve the offensive line? The question of how improved the offensive line actually will be still an open one, as we've discussed with a lot of this stuff already, Tommy. Yep. But they've at least put in the effort, right? They're bringing in half a dozen new men.
Yep.
I don't know how much better they're going to be. I don't think they'll be any worse, right, than they have been the last couple of years on the offensive line. We'll see how improved they actually are, but they are at least focused in the kind of mentality, as we've discussed already, of the kind of guys they want, the kind of football players they want. And it does seem that there's going to be a renewed focus on running the football, which I do think could pay big dividends for a lot of the things that they want to get done on the offensive side of the ball. But that's number 4 for me. Dylan, what do you have it for?
I got a new regime. First year for practically everybody, GM, head coach, EVP, OC, DC. You just don't know how, guys that have never been in that position, what they are going to do, and they're all young. I kind of agree with what most people have said so far up to this point. I don't think it's going to take long for us to know if this is going to be really good or if it's not going to work, because usually it takes 2 to 3 years if you can find, if you have chemistry with your guys and your coaching staff. I think we'll know pretty quick if this is going to work out or not.
I'd imagine so, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. I mean, that's good points. I mean, look, they are all brand new. None of them, at least the guys even including Tony Baselli, never done that role before.
No, yeah.
But, look, everyone starts somewhere. I mean, it's true. And what you try to do is find, like they've done, you go to successful organizations and try to pick guys that fit the mold. You go back to what you're talking about, Coughlin. Well, Wayne Weaver had to have liked Bill Parcells. He had to have liked that kind of style because that's who he went after. He went after a guy that coached under Bill Parcells that had NFL experience prior to Boston College, and then had success at BC. And I come in for the interview. He kills the interview. I like the demanding style. I like the accountability. We often forget, and maybe, look, it's hard when you inherit a team like Shad Khan has, but a lot of time the mentality of the organization comes from the owner. This is the kind of team I want. This is the kind of coaches I want. You can use a lot of examples, but look at Pittsburgh. The Roonies have had the same coach 3 different times over. They're all the same. They're what? They're hard-nosed. They're accountability. There's a standard that we expect. Well, that comes from the owner because they know what they want. So, again, I'm with you on that because when they first were out, I was like, okay, I mean, it wasn't like everyone was beating down Liam Cohen's door to be his head coach.
No.
We were. That doesn't mean we're wrong.
They might have been
we're
in a
right.
year. Yeah.
Right. They might have been after another successful year at Tampa. But we made the jump, and we feel really good about it. So you're going to find out quick. I think for me, it's more you're going to find out if the players are into it. That's like, are they going to respond the way you really hope that they're going to respond? And I'll tell you what, if they hold true to that old, we're bringing in guys that put football first, that love the game of football, that will do anything that in their power to better their game, then you got to match those players, and it sounds like they have. Yeah. So that'll be a good thing. That'll be a good one.
You know, we've had the discussions about culture and good culture or bad culture in the NFL, and it comes down to one thing. Are you winning?
Winning.
Right? Like a good culture wins, a bad culture loses. And I think a good culture turns into a bad culture when they go from winning to losing. And that's what happened for the last year and a half here in Jacksonville. I don't think Doug Peterson is a bad culture guy.
No.
Like, I don't think that was the necessarily the issue. The culture goes bad when you stop winning football games. And Doug Peterson's culture is such that he's going to let you do what you do.
Right.
Right, like he's going to let you be you. He's fine.
He's not
with
a
that.
hammer.
Right, like he's not that kind of. And they needed a hammer. Right, like at some point in the last year and a half, they needed somebody to be the hammer. And even in the locker room, they don't have a lot of hammers. Like they just don't have a lot of those. I think Arden Key was that kind of personality.
Yep.
Right, he's not a fantastic player, but he's a good enough player that when you needed him to be a hammer and he turned into one, you were like, everybody listened to that guy. They don't have a lot of that in the locker room. So when you don't have that among the guys, but you have a bunch of guys that go hard, it's not that the effort's not there.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't have a bunch of guys that love football even, Tommy, but the top has to be the guy that is the hammer. It feels like for this group of guys, like that's the way that they have to build it, I think, to have success with the pieces they have in this locker room.
Well, all of what you just said just reiterates that Balke failed as head coach. He didn't fill the locker room with enough guys like that, the self-starters, right? I mean, listen, I've been saying it for a while now. As a veteran, eventually, you don't need your coach.
Yeah.
You need the game plan. You need him to make the right decisions on game day. You know, you need him. I don't mean you don't need him, but at the end of the day, you don't need him. He's not prepared.
Right.
I know how to prepare. Give me the game plan.
Yeah.
I know how to condition. You watch me after practice. I know how to study film. You can sit there and watch me if you want, but you know I'm going to do it because why? Because that's the kind of professional that I am. And that's the kind of professionals you need when that coach is expecting you to do it on your own. Instead of, hey, guys, let's get into the film room right now. Like, let's, you know what I mean? Where are you going? Why are you leaving early? Don't leave early. Go watch some film. I'll go with, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have enough of those guys, especially the leaders, you're right. It'll never work. That's what I'm saying. Like, even though these guys are young, they're filling it with guys that love football. You keep hearing that theme. Who loved football more than Tony Baselli? You know what I mean? Probably not many.
Not many, maybe in the franchise's history, yeah.
I can't say I loved the game the most, but I don't think many people loved it more than me either. Like, I loved playing. I loved every bit of part of it. The getting ready, the preparing, all of it. So, look, I think with that kind of culture, you can win, and you just got to fill it with guys that are like, hell yeah, I'm down. I'm ready. Whatever you need, coach.
Yeah.
Whatever you need me to do.
My sense of this locker room is that it is filled with a bunch of guys that have that. Right, like they have the personality of, you lead me towards water, I'm going to go drink.
Yeah.
Right, like I think you have a lot of guys who have that kind of thing to them. It feels like they don't have a bunch of guys that are pointing out the direction to the water.
Well, maybe they do now.
Right, at the kind of, I think those kind of tools can be taught. I think you can get that out of guys, and there are different types of ways of doing that.
Yep.
Right? Like, not everyone's going to be the real vocal scream, that kind of thing. I think you have to have a couple of those guys in the room.
Yeah.
Right? To wake everybody up when you need them to be woken up. That's been really what I think the locker room has been missing more than anything.
Yeah.
The last year and a half when it's been going south, you don't have anyone that's, like Andrew Wingard can't be that guy.
No.
He's not a good enough player.
Right. He talks too much.
He talks like I want that kind of guy to talk.
Right.
But I need him to be a good enough player that when he talks, everyone's like, what's he saying?
Right.
Right? Like, you have to marry those kind of things together.
Yeah.
And Wingard's a good leader, but he's not going to lead a whole locker room.
Well, and look, it's more than just what we're talking about. It's that player that says, hey, man, let's go get a workout in, right? I know we're tired, but let's go lift a little. Let's go run a little bit. Let's go stretch a little bit. Let's go watch that that film together. It's guys. I can remember Kelvin Pritchett. I can remember Jeff Lageman yelling at the backers, including me, during practice. Like, we'd be in team, and a run went through the B gap. Pritchett would turn around and be like, "Where the hell are you? Like, where are you at? Like, I know where you're supposed to be because I know where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. I got the A gap. You got the B gap. So get your butt up here." And it was that accountability factor, where guys are really. We said my old linebacker coach Steve Szabo. He say this in college too, but he said it he was our Jags linebacker coach as well, inside backer coach for many years. He'd say, "Don't brother-in-law each other. Don't be like, oh, it's okay, you'll get them next time. Don't hold each other accountable. It's easy to be like, don't worry about it, it's no big deal, as opposed to saying, hey man, that wasn't good, and you're making me look bad too." You're out of coverage. You're out of position. Well, guess what? You're screwing it up for the rest of us. To hold each other accountable. When you got that in your locker room, where they care that much, then you got something. We haven't had that in the locker room consistently. I'm sure there's plenty of guys that felt that way and acted that way, but not enough.
They had it enough in 22. They didn't have it enough in the back half of 23 or 24. It just wasn't there enough.
Listen, let me just say this, Stone. We went from when the new regime got hired to saying this is not a 4-win team to gutting the team. So that just shows you how they really felt about the team. Okay? They kept the guys that are, and they kept the right guys, right? And they let the other guys go that aren't going to fit their mold moving forward.
What do you have at number 4 on your list, Tom?
The secondary. Did they do enough to fix the secondary? Now, you know how I feel. Rush and secondary go together. Mm-hmm. You got to have both. They can't just be one side. You got to have both. And they both make each other better. There's no doubt. If I could be a little more sticky in my coverage, I give that guy another half step to the quarterback. If I get another half step to the quarterback, I don't have to be as sticky in coverage. You know how that makes sense? Yeah. So did they do enough? I still think it's going to be very interesting in how you implement Travis Hunter as a corner. And I don't mean from a can he do it standpoint, because, we're going to see that. But from a scheme standpoint, from keeping the offensive coordinator guessing standpoint, right? You can't just throw him in and play certain kind of zone defense or whatever when he's in there. You're going to have to mix that up.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I said, now if he's take number 2 out of the game, if you run with him, then it doesn't matter because he's going to just do that. But if he's running certain defenses when Travis is in there, they're going to figure that out real quick. And then you do have to figure out the chemistry with, so go to Jarian Jones. Jarian, when Travis, is ready to play, you gotta step out. He's got to be that kind of player because you don't want to, especially corners. Are you kidding me? I could imagine someone going to Beasley and be like, "Hey, Beast, this guy's saying you're out just because he's maybe he's a top pick or whatever." Mm-hmm. That'd be a tough pill to swallow. So you got to make sure that chemistry. That's smoothed over. It's team. You're still going to play a ton. You're still going to get your reps. You know what I mean? But I know if I'm Jarian Jones, I'm sitting there going, man, I ain't just giving it up to the young kid.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
so you got to figure that kind of chemistry out.
Yeah.
So
well, those are all open questions, right? Exactly how they're going to deal.
That's why it's number 4. I think it can be done, but
all those situations. Like Travis Hunter is such a unicorn. Right, like the league hadn't seen anything like this, and as we've gone over it, 80 years. It's been that long since they've truly had a player that is talking about playing full-time, potentially both ways. Like it's been a long time since this has even been attempted in the NFL. I don't know how successful it will or won't be.
Yep.
I think we're all rooting for it to be successful, obviously, here in Jacksonville. We'll get to our number 3s and the rest of the list as we continue along, as we're taking a look at our question of the day, asking what are the top 5 questions or concerns that you had going into the offseason that you feel the franchise has best addressed. We'll get to our number 3s on the other side. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Some people can't handle the truth.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled.
Some people only want the truth.
You want answers? I want the truth.
Rick Ballou.
And the truth.
The Truth Teller.
Shall set you free.
Evenings on 1010 XL. Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Come in, Linda. Over.
We got a sea of new vehicles and they're priced so low they're rocking the boat. Come check out our biggest selection of inventory with prices that don't break the bank and our wow ya experience that will ensure smooth sailing for your next car purchase. Plus, take advantage of our peace of mind warranties, transparent pricing to provide you with a peace of mind. You better beat the surge and head to the all-new Beaver Toyota or Chevrolet for the car buying experience you deserve.
Power bill just went up again? Why keep paying more? Clay Solar can wipe that electric bill out. Right now, they'll cover your first 6 months' payments. Visit claysolar.com today to schedule your free consultation. claysolar.com.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball at the newly renovated Five-Star Ballpark is your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
I'm Drew Scrimshire, president and publisher of the Jacksonville Business Journal. In business, timing is everything. That's why every morning at 8:15, our morning edition delivers the most important business news straight to the inboxes of Jacksonville's decision makers, executives, entrepreneurs, investors, and industry leaders. Want to know what the First Coast power players are reading before they start their day? Join them. Subscribe today to the Jacksonville Business Journal Morning Edition at bizjournals.com/Jacksonville.
Want a simple way to boost your company's image without a big renovation? A fresh paint job in your brand's colors can increase recognition up to 80%. At Performance Painting, we help companies stand out with clean, on-brand finishes that impress clients and energize employees. From color consultations to low-odor coatings that won't disrupt operations, we've got you covered. Visit performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting! I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reese Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process that golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Hey, Hicken here. So much of what makes us a family takes place in our homes. That's where Zero Res comes in. I love Zero Res, and this month get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner with May Mayhem. A 3-room special starting at $149 plus the 4th room is free. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res 28757 or go online at zeroresjacksonville.com and say you want the Hicken special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Summer in Jacksonville is coming in hot. Lauren Brooks here. Beat the heat with Turbo Tint. Their window tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays and keeps your ride cool and comfortable. Book today at orangepark.turbotint.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you as we continue our countdown of our top 5. What are the top 5 questions or concerns that you had going into the offseason that the franchise has best addressed? We've both done 5 and 4 so far. Try to get a couple in here in this segment. We'll start with number 3.
Number 3.
Dylan, what do you have there?
I'm going to go with the playmakers on the offense. The start of the offseason, you let go of Kirk, Ingram, Gabe Davis, and you're wondering, are we going to get most of these guys in the draft? Free agency, it wasn't a sexy free agency this season. And you get De'Ami Brown, you get you're going to elevate Brenton Strange, and you got Travis Hunter with your first pick. And it seems like that this is what the regime wanted to go with. You know, get rid of the bad and get in with the new. And I think that's going to be a main question. You know, I think that this offseason has been built around Trevor Lawrence, and we're going to get to the offensive lines on our list here in a second. But, I mean, it started, I think, with the playmakers on the outside. Who are we going to have Trevor throw to? And they've addressed it so far.
Yeah, and I think the point there with the offseason not being a big one as far as money spent necessarily for the Jags, in an offseason where free agency didn't have a whole lot of guys you had to go get aggressive after. Right, like there just weren't many of those kind of guys in free agency this year. And I think that's just generally my reaction to the conversation about the dead cap number that the Jags are carrying this year. They have the most dead cap in the AFC this year, third most dead cap in the NFL with close to $59 million in dead cap. That doesn't even factor in what's going to be happening with Gabe Davis yet. Like, that won't hit their cap until June 1st. And I think it's going to be another $6 million or something like that in dead cap. But I see that number and I think, well, what haven't they been able to do because of their dead cap situation? Nothing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't hold them back.
And they still have something like $27 million available.
Yep.
So if they needed to make another move, they still could. If they wanted to do that kind of thing. It doesn't seem like the pressure seems to be all that high from a team perspective on getting the deal done with Trayvon Walker yet. But even that, the $27 million, it certainly isn't a hindrance to them doing that. So even with them carrying the dead money, that feels more to me like a new GM and head coach that are like, here's where our roster is at this point. This is the medicine we have to take to get it to where we want it to go. We're willing to bite the bullet on a bunch of dead cap that really, in the end, I look at it and don't think it means anything really going forward.
No, I don't think it's even factored in. I mean, granted, we're not the accountants of the organization. They may feel differently, but we don't feel like that hinders them or has hindered them whatsoever. My number 3 is kind of similar. It's replacing Ingram and Kirk. Like, have you done enough to replace Ingram and Kirk? Granted, Kirk injured 2 years, but when healthy, a very productive player.
Yeah.
We know Evan Ingram's still a very productive player. I think on paper, potentially, you know. I mean, look, I love Brenton Strange. I think he can do everything you need him to do. I think De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, can they help us maybe forget about Christian Kirk for a little bit. Christian was a very good player for us, man. Remember when he got signed? It was like, oh, you overpaid. And then he got here, and you're like, no, we didn't. This guy's really good, and if he could stay healthy, he can be really dynamic for this team.
Sure.
So have they done enough there? I'm going to roll my number 2 in if I can. Is that okay?
That's
because
fine.
My number 2 sticks with the wideouts, and I think it's getting that compliment to Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. I mean, look, Brian Thomas Jr., don't sleep on this young man. I know people aren't, but I know we're all very excited about Travis. But Brian Thomas Jr. is a legitimate, game-breaking, number 1 wide receiver. Me and Grammage were going on the podcast saying, okay, how many wide receivers would you take over Brian Thomas Jr. right now? And we got to like 3.
Yeah, it's a handful.
And you're like, yeah, and maybe I missed somebody, but you're like, no, he's that good. And he runs all the routes. He can run every route. And I think at least to my surprise, not a surprise, but just, thank goodness, he's tough over the middle. He'll make that tough catch. He'll do that quick slant with the DB draped all over him. He'll run that dig with the safety bearing down on him. He's got it all, man. So to find that compliment to him on the other side in Travis Hunter, the best player in the draft, I mean, you're just drooling for the time they go one-on-one. And then you're drooling for the time they go one-on-one on Brian Thomas because he's going to smoke him too. And I think that's going to be big. So have they done enough? Replacing Kirk, replacing Ingram, and then having a really, really explosive compliment to Brian Thomas Jr. I think they've accomplished that, and then the rest we'll just have to see as they get on the field.
Yeah, I'm looking at a list from PFF. This is from before the draft.
Okay.
They did one where they were ranking the wide receivers across the NFL. They wound up putting Brian Thomas Jr. at 15.
Okay.
Which I do think is a little low.
Let's name some players.
Yeah, the players they had ahead of him at 14, T. Higgins. I think I'd probably take Brian Thomas Jr. ahead of Higgins.
I'm taking BT.
Garrett Wilson.
BT.
Malik Neighbors.
I'd still take BT.
Okay. Drake London.
BT.
Terry McLaurin.
Ooh, that's good. Terry's very good. The youth, I'll take BT.
Okay. Mike Evans.
Mike's really good. I can't just. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, at this time in a career, I'd probably keep BT, but
right.
I think Mike Evans is better.
Tyreek Hill.
I got to give it to Tyreek.
Nico Collins.
No. BT.
CeeDee Lamb.
BT.
Puka Nacua.
BT.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Ooh, he's good. They kind of play a different kind of position, but
they're asked to do different things.
That's a tough one. I think I might go Amon St. Brown. He's really good. I think Brian Thomas, they're different type of players to me, so I'd probably still go BT just for what he plays.
And then you get into the top 3. That's Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, give those 3 the credibility that they deserve. But Brian Thomas is in that mix, man. A.J. Brown was the one I missed earlier because I went Chase, Jefferson, Hill.
Right.
And then you got to throw in A.J. Brown, man. Yeah. But Brian Thomas is right there in my opinion.
I think he's very much worthy of being in the discussion once you get down to that 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can have a preference on, well, I'm trying to build it this way, so I prefer X.
Sure.
Right? Like that kind of thing always goes into it. If you're looking for more the type of body that Brian Thomas Jr. is, then you might prefer him over Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Big and fast is a good combo for me.
Right. And it's just been 1 year, so you may be, well, I've seen Amon-Ra St. Brown do it for 3-4 years now.
He deserves, he's great.
I might want to wait another year before I, put BTJ in that kind of class. I think all that's kind of fair with it, but I think I think 15 is way too low.
15 is way too low.
Right, for Brian Thomas Jr., but I don't think that it needs to necessarily be any higher than 4 or 5. Like, I think then you're getting a little too, caught up in it, and that's okay too. I'm not trying to tell Jaguars fans they shouldn't be caught up in a player at that position that they haven't had in, 15 years now. Since Jimmy left, they haven't had this kind of player.
Just back to it. Think about trying to defend Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. at the same time. It's going to be challenging.
At number 3 for me, I have Will the Stars Be Stars? Stars are generally developed with on-field success, but there's no denying the star potential of Travis Hunter coming into the league. The Brian Thomas Jr. thing, which we've just been discussing, and I do think the focus on the offensive line and running game in tandem with Hunter could allow the star potential of Trevor Lawrence to really bloom. Like, it's still there. We just haven't seen it completely bloom to this point. And as we've already discussed, if they can get something on the interior, I think Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker have star potential in them, right? Yep. To a degree that hasn't been unlocked with either of those guys. With Hines Allen, a little bit more than it has with Walker to this point. But I think they're both potentially those kind of players, but they haven't consistently been that to this point in their career. So it's, will the stars be stars? It's number 3 on the list for me. Tommy, you already did your number 2. I'll do mine, but number 2 now. What will they do to improve the secondary? It was the worst in franchise history last year. I don't expect the current group to be a top 5 group. That's not what I'm saying that they have to be. But I would be very surprised if they are not greatly improved with the moves that they've made and whatever actual coaching will be going on the field compared to all the issues that we've already talked about with just hands up in the air when things were going on and nothing getting fixed when these problems would rear their ugly heads. It's absurd to me that an NFL team could go through a season having the problems they did in the secondary that never, ever got addressed and fixed. It's hard to explain how those kind of things would even happen. Dylan, what do you have at number 2?
I'm going to say the ability to run the ball. We all haven't been as high on Etienne and Tank Bigsby the last couple of years, and they drafted 2 guys in Tootin and Allen, who feel like they're going to get some significant playing time this year, and obviously that has a lot to do with the offensive line. It's something that Liam Cohen was able to change drastically in Tampa. They were one of the worst run teams 2 years ago. Last year, they were one of the top 5 teams in the league in running the football, and Jacksonville hasn't had that ability, it feels like, in a long, long time. And for Trevor Lawrence to improve to where we want him to be, I feel like you have to have something else to rely on with that run game. And, are they going to have that ability to run the ball? And it feels like Liam Cohen is going to lean on that a lot this season.
That's at least the way they're talking about it, Tommy.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see what kind of dividends that ultimately will pay for the football team, but there's at least a stated focus on being able to get the run game going. And it's from top down. It's the quarterback's talking about it too. Everyone's talking about it, right? I do think you're not going to hit a target you don't aim for. So you at least have to know where you're trying to get to in order to hit what you're trying to aim at. You have to know what you're aiming at. At least the direction and focus of some of these things has been stated very clearly.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they're able to hit the target. Like this, we won't know any of that till they get on the field. So this is all just kind of how we feel about different stuff within it right now. And we'll see how stupid all of our feelings were or weren't once we get into it and get to the end of another season. But I think it's very fair to look at it with where we're at in the process and say, this is how I feel about this now compared to how I felt about it 3 months ago.
Yeah. I mean, look, part of that, the running game's at interior 3, and they've overhauled that. Obviously, Ezra is still here. They're going to be running a different kind of scheme, right? Not more of a zone scheme, which is based off timing. More of a man-to-man type scheme, which is based off just brute force and getting guys out of the way a little bit, giving your guy a crease. So it's got to be better. I mean, look, Tank's per yard carry was great last year, 4.7. He's got to hold on to the ball. Now, granted, I know 3 of his fumbles were recovered by us or by him, but you just can't drop the ball. And then you got to be better on protecting the QB.
Yeah, my sense of it would be, and again, you were in these locker rooms, so you know how coaches and teams react to these kind of things. But there's obviously going to be a difference between lost fumbles and fumbles that your team recovers, but it's not as big as I think it is in the minds of people who are watching the game. Like, within the locker room, is the reaction close to the same? When a guy's putting it on the ground, is the reaction close to the same, whether it's recovered by you or not?
No, because you recovered it, but at the same time, you're lucky that you recovered it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You might have got a good bounce, or somebody just happened to be there.
Is the play graded the same?
You fumbled.
Right.
Yeah, so you got to take a little medicine there for sure. I would. You can't, look, because here's the thing. What if you fumble in a critical moment and we don't get it back? And I put you back out there after fumbling 4 times? Well, now it's on me, the coach.
Right.
I got to count on you. You cannot fumble. It happens. Of course it happens.
It's football.
But it can't happen more than once. You know what I mean?
happen.
I mean, it just can't. You can't be known for fumbling. It can't be part of your repertoire. Hey, this kid's really good, but puts the ball in the ground. By the way, picking up the blitz is kind of the same thing. Love him as a running back, but he can't block for anything. So now I can't keep him out there in passing downs because he might get my quarterback killed.
Yeah, that's
a big problem.
That's the read on Travis Hunter if we only put him on the field on defense to do these specific things. Well, when you can't block, when we put you on the field as a running back, they know it's a pass.
Right.
Or, like they have a read. This guy's not staying in the block because he can't do it.
Right.
Like they're not going to trust them to do that kind of thing. So they're either handing it off to him or we got to cover him. It's going to be one or the other. They're not leaving him back there as the last hope. Right, to keep somebody off the quarterback. We'll get to our number ones as we wrap up our top fives today and put a bow on this edition of Jaguars Today. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you. Mike Dempsey on assignment. He'll be back with us next Monday. Enjoy the vacay, my friend. We'll be back to wrap up this edition of Jaguars Today here on 1010 XL.
The action. The motion.
You see that acceleration.
Feel the active emotion of live play-by-play.
It's amazing how much energy
on 1010XL. Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Hayes Carline here. If you're shopping for a new ride, you've got to check out Atlantic Infinity. Not only do you get a luxury vehicle, you also get the Atlantic Infinity Promise Free with every new car. That's almost $2,500 in added value just for buying smarter. And you don't have to sweat it out on the lot. Shop in their indoor climate-controlled showrooms. It's cool, comfortable, hassle-free. They're on Atlantic near St. John's Bluff, or browse anytime at atlanticinfinity.com.
When it comes to your utility bill, JEA wants to help you use less so you can save more. We offer a variety of free programs, like efficiency and irrigation assessments that'll teach you ways to conserve energy and water around your home. Our alerts will let you know when your utility usage has reached a set amount, and our rebates can help you save when upgrading to more efficient appliances and equipment. Find even more ways to save at JEA.com.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Josie for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite Roofing Contractor, lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjax.com.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm 1010XL's Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my takes and weekend updates on YouTube and Facebook. Musings with the media mogul. That's right, motivated by Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. I'm here to share that the Gator Bowl is actually a year-round organization. We're known for the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl football game, which has been a Jacksonville staple for more than 80 years. Off the football field, the Gator Bowl is also host to the annual Florida State baseball game, a champion of local youth through Gator Bowl charities, and a strong networking organization of local individuals and companies through our membership. We're actually looking to grow membership, which is an affordable, fun way for you to get involved and give back to our community. To learn more, visit GatorBowl.com for more information.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning, and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women.
With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us, and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
It's the perfect day. You're just driving along, listening to your favorite music, the windows down. There's a cool breeze. Life is good. But wait, hold on a second. You're not wearing a seatbelt? You'd better put that on before that... Uh-oh, too late. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement, so you'd better buckle up or you will get caught. Sorry to ruin your day. Click it or ticket.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with One Plus. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Taking a look on the show today at some of the questions and concerns that we had going into the offseason that we feel like they have addressed. It's been kind of fun to chop it up a little bit with some of these things and get an idea of how we all feel they've addressed some of the concerns that we had for them. And we'll get to our number ones here on this list here in just a moment. But before we get to that, first, a quick rundown of what I had 5-2. At number 5, where is the desperately needed energy in the franchise going to come from? That was really around Tony Baselli. Number 4, what will they do to improve the offensive line? 3, will the stars be stars? And 2, what will they do to try and improve the secondary? Which brings us to number 1. We'll give that in the form of a 10-10 take.
10-10 take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
Hello, I'm here to impersonate Mike Dempsey. This is a question that didn't come into real focus for me until I saw the answer, which is really less of an answer and more of a crucial step in a positive direction. In my mind, where and when will the owner hold the things accountable that he is qualified to hold to account? Accountability from the owner for the things the owner has control over, such as who is making the football decisions on and off the field after a disastrous, lifeless last year and a half. It's still hard to believe, for me, that we saw Mr. Khan hold a press conference with Trent Baalke hanging over his shoulder like a Sith Lord and deflecting clear questions about why he didn't clean house, with essentially, it depends on what your definition of is kind of political rhetoric to answer these kind of very direct and obvious questions. Only time will tell if the new direction will be a fruitful one, but there's at least some life breathed back into the entire franchise by the decisions that were ultimately made by Shad regarding new GM, new head coach, Tony Baselli being brought into the building as the executive vice president. I didn't know how big and important of a question that was until it finally got answered in a direction I considered a positive direction by Shad Khan in the franchise. But it's a big enough moment in where the current iteration of this team is that I have it all the way from I didn't even know I had this question necessarily to number one on my list of questions that they've gotten answered over the course of this offseason. Dylan, what's number one on your list?
I'm going to say the offensive line, addressing them. As much as the game has changed over the last 20 years, going from defense to offense, the game's still the same when it comes to blocking and tackling. And the offensive line hasn't been good. It feels like a lot of the guys on the team the last 2 years, they've drafted or gotten free agency, and they've known that this is their job, and there hasn't been anybody pushing them, with no competition behind them, and that's going to be changed this year. There's a lot of competition at every position. We have a feel for what they think they're going to do, but we have no idea. As we go through OTAs, as they're about to hit the practice field here in the next 15 minutes. And, as much as Liam Cohen is, schematically and the playmakers, none of that matters if you don't have a good offensive line up front. So I think number one is definitely the offensive line, what they can do this year.
Tommy?
All right, my 5 was just the new attitude. Do they have a new attitude under the new regime? 4 was upgrading the passing game defense. Did they do enough there? 3 was replacing Ingram and Kirk. Did they do enough there? 2, compliment to Brian Thomas Jr., which we truly believe that. Number 1, I got 1A and 1B. I'll start with 1B. 1B is moving Eric Armstead to 3 technique. Because you know what this is going to do, Tony? You're going to have double-digit sacks from Josh Hines-Allen. You're going to have double-digit sacks from Trayvon Walker. You're going to have at least 9 or 10 from Eric Armstead, and Mason Smith might give you 5 to 6. Right there, that could be over 40 or close to 40 sacks out of those guys. I'll go back to the New York Giants when they won the Super Bowl under Tom Coughlin. What did they have? A tremendous pass rush. They were unbelievable. Strahan, Tuck, O.C. Omenura, those guys could get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's all they talked about. So that's big for me. And I think moving Eric inside on passing downs will do that for these outside guys. 1A, did they fix Trevor? That's all we keep hearing. We keep hearing that Doug tried to quote-unquote fix him. Take that how you want. You hear with Liam Cohen, we got to get the QB right. Look, we know what he did for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield made it very public. He helped simplify my pre-snap reads. That's more than half the battle. Knowing where I'm going with the football or having a good idea no matter what defense they show me. So hopefully he can do that. But look, that throws into the weapons. That throws into the offensive line. They're doing everything to make sure that number 16 is successful. So have they done enough to make sure that happens?
How confident are you that they have?
I'm pretty confident. I like Liam, and I think the way he's gonna coach him up, he's either gonna do it or not. But I think he's gonna do it. I really do, and I think that simplification of the pre-snap read. Look, Brady made a career out of it. He knew where to go. Right? I mean, he knew to go. You couldn't get to him. Peyton Manning, same deal. Like you very rarely got to Peyton Manning because why? Because the ball was already out.
Yeah.
He knew where it was going. He knew where the weakness was. He knew exactly who was going to be open and where they were going to put that football. I think Trevor will. Now, I'm not saying to Brady type levels, but I think that'll better his game tremendously.
Yeah, I think it's whenever we have the Trevor conversations, as you know, Tommy, because you've been in the room when we've had these over and over the past, 4 years now with Trevor Lawrence. I think there is a frustration from some portion of the fan base that thought they were drafting Peyton Manning or Tom Brady.
Or Luck or somebody like that. Yeah.
They haven't seen quite that level of play yet, so they think, well, he stinks. Right? If he's not Tom Brady, then he's terrible. Right? Like you set the expectations wherever you set the expectations. I'm not saying that I'm thrilled with what they've gotten from Trevor Lawrence to this point compared to what I thought it might be.
Yeah.
Right? Like I had that kind of excitement.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he could be that kind of transformational player for the franchise. Well, he hasn't been quite that, but that doesn't make him bad.
No.
And he doesn't make him a guy that you can't still build everything around, and you surround him with the right pieces that you can't be very successful with him in that kind of role. I'm not anywhere near, well, they got to find somebody else to do the job.
No.
Not anywhere close. I'm fine with waiting 3 more years on that kind of thing with Trevor Lawrence with the run of the contract that he's currently under after getting that long-term deal done. I'm fine with it being in that situation right now as a team.
Well, we're stuck with them. And I don't mean it's such a negative connotation, but regardless of...
They're tied to them.
They got them.
That's
tied.
the way they look at it. They don't feel stuck. I don't feel stuck.
Yeah.
No one feels stuck except a small portion of the fan base who just
But
has
they are
no
tied
belief.
to him. So
They are
regardless of how he plays this year, they're tied to him. But I think he's going to have a better year. Look, after 2022, we thought what? Josh Allen trajectory, or at least close to it, right? It's kind of wavered off a bit. Maybe he can bring it back.
Yeah, the injuries certainly haven't helped
For
the
sure.
last couple of years.
No doubt.
Let's get through a healthy season with Trevor and see what exactly that'll mean for the entire group. Before we get out of here, let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Taylor's going to have to deal with it from all angles. On the quarterback isn't what he was supposed to be. Considering you got Jacksonville and Chicago ties. It does feel like both
At least they didn't write a book about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not yet. Give it time, Tommy.
That's right.
What do we got coming up today on Helmets and Heels?
Yeah, we're going to chat. We saw a few things that came out over the weekend. There was one article kind of listing 100 different things to know about this upcoming football season. 3 or 4 of them involved Jaguars in some form or fashion. So we're going to get into some of those things, also some of the things that maybe stood out to us, other exciting pieces that maybe when you look around the league. And then also, I think you guys chatted about it too, they had the rankings of the top 10 edge defenders in the NFL. We're going to get into that a little bit, the pass rush in general here in Jacksonville, how much improved we think that can be with the new scheme. And maybe there wasn't a whole lot done on the defensive line, but people are kind of hoping that Coach Camp will fix that, and you'll get some, maybe a little bit more out of with an Ogba or something like that. So we'll talk a little bit of that. We'll get around the NBA, the NHL, touch on all of that stuff a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to look at those kind of lists from last year and going into that season and see if Josh may have been on there.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the year he had, probably in that 7, 8, 9, 10 kind of range. And then he has the season he had.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of drops him off. It's...
What have you done for me
It's a
lately?
fickle business.
Yeah, and that's I think something we notice a lot on defenses lately is every year you feel like there's the few that sit up there every single year. You feel like year after year, but there's always 1 or 2 new names on those lists, and that's just because you have a guy like Jared Verse that comes out and does what he did in that first year. Yeah, and so that's who people want to talk about at that moment.
For sure.
Well, he's the guy who just had 15 sacks. Where do we put him on the list?
Yeah, we have to fit him.
Right? Like that kind of thing. So we'll be listening to
All
it.
right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Helmets and Heels coming up next here on 1010 XL. Tommy, a pleasure. Again, appreciate
It
you
was
sitting
great.
with
Yeah,
me.
no, I'm actually excited. I'm heading out to OTAs for the first time. Get my look on the new shiny new toys they got.
Get some sun, my friend.
Oh, I've been getting sun, Tone. You know I like the sun.
This isn't the hottest it's been here in the last couple of weeks, but that doesn't
It's
make
hot.
it comfortable outside.
No, it's been hot. There's no doubt about that.
No doubt. So enjoy the OTAs. We'll talk about that tomorrow with you. Whatever
All right.
you see
Beautiful.
out there on the practice field on assignment. Mike Dempsey.
That's right.
For Dylan Denmark and Tom McManus, I'm Tony Smith. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Helmets and Heels coming up next here on 1010 XL.